So guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be putting together my Quad Cortex pedal board. It's going to be kind of just a laid back video. We're going to kind of experiment around with the positioning, new power supply and things like that, and kind of see what we come up with, so stick around. Alright, well here we are. This is what I've been working with here. I did remove the volume pedal. I had some noise coming from my Ernie Ball MVP. I have this Korg, it's the XVP20. It's both an expression slash volume pedal. So it's got the option to do both, which is pretty neat. And it's nice and quiet and fairly transparent. I wouldn't say it's perfectly transparent, but I didn't really think the MVP was either. So anyways, we're going to use that. It's nice and passive. Don't have to worry about needing power for that. So we're going to go ahead and get this board stripped down here. Now I'm using the 3M DualLock, and this stuff is amazing. It's so strong, way stronger than Velcro. So highly recommend doing that. If you're putting together a pedal board or working on it, you can find it on Amazon. It's not the cheapest stuff in the world, but man, it is like glue. It's as close to screwing it down as I've found. And the CAE wah pedal here. And Shure, I think this is the GLDX16 Plus. So that came off a lot easier than it would have been if I had the DualLock on there. But yeah, this everything on this board gets gross at our shows. Like we are not gentle with our stuff, and neither are the people at the shows. So I mean, that's what these things have to endure. This is what our pedal boards have to put up with. So I'm not really gonna find a lot of cheap junk on our stage, kind of because we don't want the risk of some idiot falling on something or spilling a drink to completely ruin our night. But we do have backups of pretty much everything except for our main PA, but hadn't had any problems out of that, knock on wood. I've got the Friedman power supply down here. I want to also have used a label maker to make some scribble strips right there for putting along here, since the Quad Cortex itself doesn't support that. Now, I think once you get familiar with the color codes, it won't be a big deal. But like, if I try to remove this, like, it is on there. Like, it's big time on there. So nice and sturdy. Had the power supply coming out here on the side. And let's see, I've got some cables we're going to be using over here. Just some typical patch cables. These are the Ernie Ball flat ribbon cables, which I absolutely love. They sound great. And then I've got some extension cables right here. Just some XLR extensions, so it's going to come out of the Quad Cortex using these right angles, going down into behind the pedal board like that. And also, so I don't have to worry about my microphone signal having to use a converter or like one of those adapters. I've got this adapter plug here that I'm going to be using for the 2 1/4 inch output 3 and 4 on the back of the Cortex. Let's see, yeah. These two right there, those are where my microphone signal comes out of. And so that'll let me just have all of these lined up, maybe up here where I can just plug everything in, or maybe over here on the side. I'm not sure yet. But we'll figure that out. All right, and let's get this guy flipped over. Background noise that you're enjoying is the TV in the den. This is the fall break for the kids, so got them at the house destroying the place. All right, so there is the Friedman power unit. I'll probably hang on to that. It's a really good unit. It just does not support the Quad Cortex. So, but I like that it has a lot of outputs on there and clean power, no issues running Any of the pedals that I've used, kind of specifically the universal audio pedals, they're pretty hungry, but this thing does a really good job with that. And it's, you know, again, as you can see, like it's not a clean device. Again, on the bottom of the board, these nasty bars. So anyways, this I had this little setup here where I could use this for the Axe-FX 3 or whatever other unit might need just kind of the standard 3-pin connector. Everything zip tied nice and tight under there, and for the most part it all kind of stayed put. The only problem I really had was the Friedman unit itself was like just tall enough to where like right here it would rest against the stage so that it wasn't totally flush with all four corners. Now we use microphone stands that have like this flat thing that comes out. I'll put a picture of it on the screen, but we use these flat base mic stands that has, I guess it's made to like set your pedal board on top of it. They're not the best quality, but as far as I'm aware, they're the only microphone stands like it out there, so you kind of stuck with it. And I think we've got a couple of them with some JB Weld holding these things together because the threads on them are just terrible. So yeah, let's see here. So I use this long extension cable here, just kind of zip tied up under there to facilitate running this board all the way back to a power conditioner at the back of the stage, and it always worked out really well that way. But I did use this thing kind of like zip tied over here, hanging like right there on the edge, so that I could plug in, like if I needed to, if someone else needed power, I could have, you know, 3 extra ports on here. Could plug an FRFR in there if I need to, cell phone charger, iPad charger, or the Quad Cortex brick. So this might stick around, I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully it won't need to. All right, well that is one cleaned up board in terms of getting all the crap off of it. Now it's time to actually clean this thing, so I'll be back. Get the rubbing alcohol. If you guys haven't caught Tony Baker's Instagram about rubbing alcohol just being used as a catch-all cleaner for everything, it's pretty funny. You guys should definitely follow the guy. He's hilarious. So as you can see, I've got most of the board already set up with the DualLock adhesive. And the thing I like about it is like I got like a much bigger connector than the Velcro up here. Like the Velcro's kind of got this like soft little fuzzy stuff up there, and the DualLock is like a lot thicker. And on the Amazon page, you can actually see kind of up close how it's got these 2 little like pegs that like kind of like they just like snap together is how that they work. Got that nice strong mechanical connection. I'm not worried about this thing getting squeaky clean because it's just going to get gross again. Top's done. God, this thing is disgusting. Oof. I really like the Novo 24. It's kind of like just that perfect size where it can accommodate a decent amount of stuff. It's got a good amount of depth to it. It's got just kind of the right amount of width to it to get a decent, moderately sized rig going. It's lightweight. I mean, I guess there's a case to be made for the Temple stuff if you're wanting to use their kind of those proprietary connectors and like little end cap things. Man, those things are expensive. Like the boards themselves really aren't that expensive, but you can easily spend more on just a couple of the connectors as the board itself cost. And honestly, I think if you had a 3D printer and the right know-how, you could probably do those yourself. But alas, I do not, so we're gonna be just kind of winging it. Man, that junk is caked on there good. That's gross. But hey, that's rock and roll. That's what we do. We play for the people. And if the people want to get rowdy and drunk, as long as they have a good time, I don't mind the pedalboard getting a little nasty. All right, well, we have got this cleaned up. Let's go ahead and take a look at this power supply. Now, I do have a DC10, and I'm sure that there's a way to make it work, but I didn't want to take any chances. I know this works. I know it's not going to hurt anything. So, all right, DC7. Got cables in here. I like the way that they use RCA cables. Like these, they feel so much more secure when you're putting the cables in there, and that they'll hold better. Now, I do have the pedal board mounting bracket for this unit on the way. It wouldn't have arrived in time. So I'm probably just going to use some DualLock until that shows up. I think it mounts like that, maybe? I'm not sure. It looks like it's kind of like an L bracket that like holds onto it, like on one side of it or something like that. Or like this, or like this. I'm not really sure. But I do know that if it mounts like this, then I don't think that would work because it kind of sticks out too far for the pedal board to like lay at an angle, if that makes any sense. It would have to like, yeah, I don't know. I'll check out some videos on that. Oh, I do like it has a little USB cable on there, so I can have like a phone plug or something like that. All right, so the instructions say that we need to flip this to the 12 volt setting for the Quad Cortex, and it will use the 24 volt output right there next to the USB out port, and it's going to go into there and then out of the Crux into the Quad Cortex. Okay, so I want my power to come from this. I'm always stage left, so the power is going to come out of this side of the pedal board, so I'll kind of want this to face towards that way where the cord's going to go. So kind of looking something like this, and that maybe. So again, you don't need much of this stuff to really get a good strong connection. Now, no, this is going to be fighting gravity the whole time, but it still should be perfectly adequate. And the tape on the bottom of this this DualLock stuff is also very strong. I know with even some of the best Velcro, like you pull a pedal up and it pulls up the Velcro that you had mounted on the actual board itself. That was always a pain. But I've yet to have a single piece of this stuff come up off the actual surface of the pedal board. And I mean, I've had to use, for some of these pedals, I've had to use like a flathead screwdriver, like prying up under it to actually pull the thing off, because you can't just like pull it. It's that strong. It's really, really strong stuff. Now, let's test it out. That is on there. So again, very, very strong stuff. So everything's going to be coming in and going out from this area here. So like again, like these XLRs, they're going to be coming up here and kind of going down there like that into the back of the Quad Cortex. So everything's kind of nice and clean going down up under the pedal board. I don't have enough of the DualLock for this So I'm just gonna have to let this hang out on the board until it shows up, and thankfully we don't have any more shows in the immediate future. So I've got plenty of time to go ahead and order some more and get it here. This wireless, by the way, these Shure wireless systems, they're so good. I had 2 or 3 other different wireless units. I had both of the Line 6 units, and I also had a brief stint with, I think there's a Boss wireless system, and we play a couple of places that are just notoriously noisy in terms of just the interference. And the other 2 guys in the group, they never had any issues whatsoever from their wireless, and they have the first generation Shures. Never had a single issue out of them, so I figured, well, I might as well just go ahead and pay a little extra and get that peace of mind to just not have to worry about wireless problems effectively ever again, unless you just kind of go out of range of the system, which I've done a couple of times. You always kind of find out the hard way, and you find out immediately, because it's not like a smooth drop in the signal. It's like it just cuts out completely, like you've been muted. Is that like an extra power plug if you need it? Maybe? That's cool if that is. If that's a pass-through, that's really cool. All right, well, we're just gonna kind of let this hang out here, and I'll worry about the getting some more of this stuff for that later on. So the first thing that hits, Golden Boy. Tell you what, let's go ahead and get him cleaned up. It's not too dirty. Haven't been using the Golden Boy for that long, but once I did, it was kind of just the go-to from that point on. I know you guys, if you've been following my channel, you know that I absolutely love this thing. It can get so many different sounds. If you like tube screamers, it's got 2 different types of tube screamers. You can do a clean boost, or you can do a drive boost tube screamer mode. It's got kind of like a King of Tone type circuit. It's got a Klon type circuit. It's got a like a transparent boost on there. Like, it's got so many different sounds that sort of lets it adapt to whatever amp you're using. So if you got amps that prefer a tube screamer, you've got 2 options for that. Or if you've got something that wants a different type of boost voice, it's got those in there too that you can pick and choose. And it's controlled by MIDI, so you can use a MIDI controller to turn one or both of those on or off. Next is the wah. Now, the only thing that's kind of a pain is the wah voicing switch over here on the side. It kind of sits in this little tight little pocket between the boost and the side of the wah. And I hit this when we play, if we play Living on a Prayer. So instead of the talk box, I just kind of flip this switch on to change it to the more broad voicing that's kind of got more of like a low end emphasis. And it seems like it does a decently okay job of emulating that kind of like lower wah sound that the Sambora does. So yeah, I'll reach down there and flip that switch for that song and flip it back when I'm done. So I have to give myself a little bit of room for that. Next to the Korg. Now, the only thing I don't like about this Korg is you can see like right here, you see kind of how it comes out here at an angle like this. Basically what that means is you can't use an angled cable because it hits this angled side that juts out like that. Like, I've thought about just taking like an angle grinder to that and notching it out, but kind of for now it can be run like this, or you can run it like this over to the side. As long as you've got room on the other one, you can run it like that, which is usually what I do because it's leaving the pedal going that way. But just one of those little kind of, I don't want to say it's a major annoyance, but it's one of those things where I wasn't really expecting it. When I got the pedal, I didn't look at it too hard. So yeah, it works. I mean, I'll tell you what, this is still in the position. God, yeah, this stuff, it's just really, really strong stuff. It uses that 3M, like that foam type adhesive that's really, really strong. Kind of like the stuff that they use to attach car body panels with. Okay. So that's all lined up. No wonder the volume pedal had been kind of like shuffling around, kind of moving around. Before I get that locked in there, I'm gonna test the position of that. Yeah, so it needs to go over some. And the one thing I want to do is I want to avoid the volume pedal being too close to the side here, because if I mess with these, it could change patches, and I don't want to do that. I'm gonna get these two cables here for the XLR outputs, and I'll have to find some way to color code these. Maybe put a piece of tape on one of them to identify which one is the right side. So as long as I don't, well, that's the capture out. So if I'm going to be doing captures, I don't use the headphone jack, so that's not a problem. So as long as I have enough slack in here that I can lift this up to, let's see, where's the cable? All right. So as long as I have enough slack in there for that, then we're good. And I think what I might end up doing is just having everything out under here. That over to the side, coming out from under the board. That's a possibility. Or if I want it to be up here. Could do something like that. And just kind of zip tie these so that they don't really move around. Got options here, but yeah, I bet if I had a 3D printer, I could probably figure something out for this, but I don't, so we are going to just kind of roll with that the way it is for the time being. All right, let's get this kind of scooched over here against the edge. All right. Well, that's not going anywhere. Power for these guys is next. Wireless. Wireless right there. All right. Flip it again, check things out. That's nice and tucked in out of the way. Everything here's got power. That'll sit there. And it'll get power like that. So yeah, that is coming together nicely. Man, sitting on the floor is not comfortable at all. I had a table that I used to could fold out and work on, but it I think it got destroyed at a birthday party. Backyard wrestling. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I don't know where it is. Probably buried somewhere in our storage shed out back. All right, well, let's go ahead and clean this up for some Scribble Strips. So the reason that these Scribble Strips will work for me is because I like things to be in a specific place on all of my effects units. And it's good for muscle memory. So I always know that my delay is always going to be here on the far side. Chorus is always going to be next to it. And then the solo is down here. All right. Well, I think we are ready to power this unit on and check for results. I mean, really the only result is it powers on or it doesn't. So I guess we'll find out. And the only other thing I do probably want to do is to figure out the power cable situation, how I want to run that, because I don't want to have to be digging every show up under there for a power cable. What I might do is just I might just mount this up under there the way that I had it previously, so that I still have extra outlets if I need it, but I can just use, I've got a little short power cable that'll go into the DC7. Let me grab that. All right, well, as luck would have it, is turned up missing exactly when I need it. I just realized none of this is in the shot. Quick recap here. I've got the main power cable that would go to the power conditioner. I've got it mounted up here to the side of the board. And what I was saying is probably adding another zip tie right here to go between the power cable, just to give it a little bit more assurance. I mean, it's already, like, I could probably pick the thing up by that, but there's not much stress on this to begin with, but I feel like there's probably room for a couple more zip ties if I really wanted to lock it on there tight. So we're going to go ahead, and because I know that I've got this a little short cable for this, I'm not going to bother zip tying this down. I'm just going to leave this here for now until I do find that little cable. It's hiding here somewhere. Oh, that's perfect right there. Look at that. Would you look at that? Power's connected to everything except for the wireless at the time being. And all the signal cables are done. Quad Cortex cables are all done. And the only thing that would be remaining is just a mic input here, which, I mean, I might end up doing another one of these for the microphone. I don't know, we'll see. I like having everything just out here to the side instead of everything just kind of like coming out of the board like this towards the microphone and the crowd. I mean, again, it's just one less thing that can, get caught on anything, whether it's a person's hand or a foot. I mean, if you guys play out these old bars, you know how unpredictable everything can be. I don't want to say I want to idiot-proof it, but I want to drunk person accident-proof it as best as possible. It doesn't really seem like there's a clean way to mount these on the bottom. It's like I would just have to kind of, I don't know what. I mean, I don't hate this as long as this is kind of like, as long as it's out of the way, it's really not that big of a deal. Because these can all kind of, there's plenty of room for them to just kind of get, kind of tucked back down under there. But as long as I have some kind of clean way to mount these up. Now I do have some zip tie anchor points, but the thing I don't like about those is that they have really weak adhesive, so I would have to replace that with the stronger VTB 3M tape, which again, I think that's what this foam tape that the DualLock uses. So kind of lining them up like this with the zip tie locks. That's a possibility, kind of something like that. But also enough room so that I can get the USB plug back there. I don't plan on using an expression pedal, so that's not really a problem blocking those. Just mainly so I can get a USB cable into there. So I'm going to kind of think on this. I'm going to figure out where that little short plug went, and I'm going to order some more of the DualLock for the wireless. The other thing I like about this wireless is it's got the second plug where you can just plug your guitar straight in and get your sound. If your wireless goes out, you don't have to unplug this or unplug this. You can just plug straight into here and you're kind of up and going again. All right, well, let's plug it in and see what happens. All right, we're in business. All right, well, everything is powered on, and let's go ahead and get it plugged in. I use these really nice D'Addario adapters for 1/4 inch to XLR. I think these are the best adapters for this. And let's see if we got some sound. Let's try this boost. All right, well, here is the finished bottom of the board, and there is the Ciocks DC7, and it is actually now mounted with the little grip, and it mounts onto the, probably easier to show the instructions. Focus, please. There we go. Oh, we lost it. Yeah, so it mounts onto the side of it, and it can mount on either side for whatever orientation you want. And it uses these little hex screws to mount it on there. So, and the way that it mounts onto the board itself is it mounts onto the square bar right here. It kind of goes, if you pretend like my hand is the mount itself, it's like it goes down onto it like that, and it's a perfectly tight fit. And then it uses these two little set screws right there to kind of lock it in there. So I am glad that I got that. That's a lot cleaner of a look. And again, it is sitting completely flush against there. And I've got my little short power cable here. I found that. And then the crux here. And I'm not using zip ties on these because if I'm in the middle of a show, I don't want to have to fool around and try to find like a wire cutter. I just like using the little twisty ties down here. They do the job, and they're easy to undo in a bind. Go ahead and check out the top of the board here. So here is kind of what I've got going on for the top of the board. I did get some more of the DualLock in there. It's on there mounted up good, nice and tight. And the way that I mounted these over here on the side is working out nicely. And I do have one right here kind of twisted away. That's a second vocal output coming from down there. So I've got my two vocal mics on these two outputs, and then I've got my two guitar outputs there, and I've got one of these is the microphone input. So the vocal mic cable comes into here, goes into there, and these World Best Cable Pro XLR extensions, man, they are top quality. They feel really good. I love the braided line here, and yeah, just the connectors. They are what you would expect with the price tag that they command. They're not crazy expensive. Oh, and like the little release button feels really nice too. But anyways, I love these guys. I bought a bunch of stuff from World's Best Cables. I think they're really good. So yeah, that is the pedal board focused up. All right. And we're gonna give it a go at the next show and kind of see how things go. So if anything goes wrong, I will absolutely post an update. But if everything goes smoothly, no news will be good news. All right, guys, that is going to wrap up this video for my new Quad Cortex pedal board build. I'm glad you hung out with me. Hopefully, maybe you picked up a tip or two, and I'll have links to everything that I use to make this happen down in the video description. And yeah, appreciate you guys hanging out with me for this one. And if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button and help my channel grow, get more views out there, feed that algorithm, all that crap. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.